Hi everyone, it's great to be here in Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and how apropos that I am here with Matt Hayden, who is our head of cyber client engagement and a fairly new employee to GDIT. So Matt, can you just tell us a little bit about what you did before you came here, because you had a pretty senior job, and then maybe just a little bit about what's in your purview and why you came to GDIT.
Absolutely. So I had a great, very long title. It was Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Cyber Infrastructure Risk and Resilience Policy.
That is a long one.
It
so
is,
you're
it
in
is.
charge of all things cyber infrastructure for Department of Homeland Security. Is that fair?
It was fair, but it was a lot about the interagency working. So when we would engage across government, how do we work with critical infrastructure to make sure that all boats are rising together, and we've got a cyber baseline in place that meets kind of the risk tolerance the government has.
It's really important, particularly now as cyber is really just emerging.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so why GDIT? Why do you leave that job, and why do you choose us?
So as the mission drives, and so when I came here, it was because of the mission footprint that GDIT has. So it's a very hard place to find the good work in national security anywhere else. So mission brought me here. Also, the great talent pool that's here. There are people doing network operations and true pure cyber all over GDIT, which was a big draw as well.
All right, so you're a big cyber geek. Love to be surrounded by them and really contribute to the mission.
Well, it also means you have all kinds of toys and trinkets, and you have to buy into the stigma whole hard, but yes.
But a lot of real world mission critical cyber work at GDIT, and that's what attracted you.
Yes.
You know, so it's interesting as we head into this month and just thinking about what's going on in the world right now. Coming out of the pandemic, we certainly saw an increase in cyber activities by bad actors during the pandemic, and now with the war in Ukraine, we're hearing a lot about what might be happening in the cyber world. So can you just tell me sort of what's the state of affairs in cyber right now? How would you highlight some of the big things that are going on?
The big challenge, even pre-COVID, was we hit the largest number of vulnerabilities for commonplace cyber systems writ large in 2020. So right when we were starting to get the most dangerous challenges to patch and mend and implement solutions towards, then COVID hit. And we had to push outside of our traditional safety zones into everyone's homes. And so that took a whole nother transformation. When we start talking about the war with Ukraine and the conflict over there, that pushed Russian techniques to the forefront. And we started to look through our intelligence lens and how are we protecting our critical infrastructure from known attacks that general bad guys, it could be criminals, it could be anything, largely ransomware, to bring to our shores. And when we stopped back and said, are we good enough to take some of these hits, we got a lot of pushback. And the good news is when we started looking at options like Zero Trust, and we started looking at how are we doing to stop thinking about castle and moat style, I'm protecting my boundary so I'm okay type mentalities, to I need to assume that the adversary has gotten in and now what? And that's the techniques that GDIT is employing across the board and with our customers in such a way that we're getting to that are we okay point. Now that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Now, one of the challenges that's out there is it's not a when, it's an if. And so that's the bigger challenge that we have in cyber is what are you going to do when you get punched?
Okay. You know, that is a question that I absolutely want to get to, but what I hear you say is that we were already in a vulnerable place before the pandemic, and then the pandemic was a place when everybody had to go to maybe less secure places, and bad actors, including Russia and others, many others as well, leveraged that opportunity. And so we had to start to change our framework as a country and as a company for how we go after that. And that's Zero Trust. You mentioned Zero Trust. Like, what is Zero Trust?
Well, the good news is that Zero Trust is really a journey, not a place. And so we're never going to turn to a customer and say, you're now Zero Trust. You know, it's an evolution and getting better at security the whole time. So what we do inside GDIT is really to strengthen the components that they have already. We take a look at, okay, you're doing this for identity. This is how you can make some measures to get in that Zero Trust mindset and to start to interrogate those trust patterns throughout your system. And we work with each of the different categories that Zero Trust makes up, that we get all this guidance from NIST and others, and we make sure that everyone's getting in that maturity model, so they're rolling towards a more secure environment, and that buys us a lot of street cred with our customers, because we're not telling them, you need to go buy this box and install it. We're telling them, you need to look at what you have, let's make some changes to the way you do business and your architecture, let's start to carve out those segments and work from there, and it shows that we understand where they are coming from, lower budgets, challenges with knowing what's on their own wires, and working with them to get to that more secure place.
It's interesting. So when I was thinking about the question, I was really thinking about what GDIT does for itself. And you just described a lot of what GDIT is doing with respect to our customers, but I presume we also host some customer applications on our own system. Are we doing all of these Zero Trust kinds of things to protect our own infrastructure, and to the extent that we have customer data on it as well?
Well, I will tell you, the first thing we can do to lose faith and trust from the government is to have an incident that we should have protected against. And so we're doing our due diligence across GDIT on our own systems to do as we do, as opposed to do as we say. So we are definitely leaning in the seat to do next level protection of everything we've got, whether that be what the government's asking or our customers are looking for. We're going to do that extra mile, because we can't have that happen on a GDIT watch.
Okay, so what I hear from you is right now, today, GDIT is deploying Zero Trust and continuing to evolve it, because this is something that has sort of emerged over the last couple of years. And we are applying that framework and those solutions to help customers tailor Zero Trust to their own environments, to include, we've got some live contracts now. Is that true?
That is. Well, you keep saying it so well, we're going to take you with us on some of our customer visits. But yes, that's the mentality.
Okay. And I think we even actually, interestingly, we just won a contract for Army National Guard that has a Zero Trust solution in it. So